Hi, Ghosties. I'm Macy.
And I'm Natalie.
And we've talked about Appalachia many times before. It's a mysterious place full of unexplainable events and encounters, overflowing so much with tales of cryptids, mimics, and other dark entities that they have an entire saying out there in the mountains that has become known and popular everywhere. We've said it before. If you see something, no, you didn't. If you hear something, no, you didn't. We promised we'd return to it, and now is the perfect time to talk about some of the many legends and lore of Appalachia. There are many cryptids, aliens, ghosts, witches, and so much more. So today we'll touch on just a few of some of the spookier aspects of this ancient land, and we'll end it with a few true personal encounters from some of you guys, our listeners.
Oh my gosh, I knew it.
I had a hard time narrowing it down, like a really hard time. I had like 7 topics.
Oh, I'm sure.
Within here, and I narrowed it down to 3 because I also had I already texted you about this, a very hard time narrowing down the listener stories. I told her, I was like, we might have to just do 2 episodes because like how do I pick?
I don't know. We can do a themed listener stories because this is a topic that always excites me.
Me too. It's so spooky. It's so mysterious. There's so much, and it's such a vast piece of land.
I know.
It's like the trail goes up so far
through multiple countries.
Yeah.
So crazy.
Anyway, our tea today, Hawaiian natural tea Olina. It is for inflammation, which much needed, and it has turmeric, ginger, and black pepper. So I'm a little scared.
It's going to be interesting.
If you've been here, you know how we usually feel about a ginger tea.
You know how I feel about things in general. I don't really like anything ever. So, we've stopped getting that comment because I have been liking teas. We used to get the comment like, does Natalie like anything?
Yeah.
The answer is no.
No.
I do not. So let's go. You know what?
You know what?
Shout out to Kai.
Kai, you did us well.
Because Kai is the one that sent us this. And I think they even said, like, I'm so excited for y'all to try this one.
Mm-hmm.
I was skeptical. I'm not going to lie.
Really scared. Natalie was like, I don't know if I can drink this.
I literally said, I was like, I'm going to try it, but I'm not touching it. It's good, actually.
It's really good. I took a sip and I turned to Natalie. I said, you know what? And she said, you're lying.
Because I was really scared. I was sitting here going like stalling. It's kind of good.
It's good.
I think in my brain, hearing turmeric, ginger, and black pepper, I was like, this is about to be some weird mess going on. But this is better than a lot of the teas that we've tried.
Yeah. I say it's above average. It's above average. And I was planning to put it not at the bottom,
but close.
Yeah.
I was very scared, but yeah.
So shout out Kai. Thanks again. That was good.
I like it. Hopefully it takes away my inflammation. Because like I was telling you earlier,
I'm inflamed.
Yep. Don't even need to get into it. All right. Let's go, dude.
Spanning over 2,000 miles and 2 countries from Alabama all the way up to Bell Island off of Newfoundland and believed to be anciently connected all the way up through the Scottish Highlands, which we talked about last time.
We did.
The Appalachians are one of the oldest mountain ranges still remaining on Earth. The mountains today still contain the weathered remains of an ancient range that, in part, was formed in the collision of tectonic plates that formed the supercontinent Pangaea. At one time, these mountains are thought by some to have possibly stood as tall as the present-day Himalayas, though that is debated. Beginning 1.2 billion years ago, that's 500 million years before fish existed, before trees, before Saturn got its rings, tectonic shifts and the collision of Laurentia and Amazonia began the formation of the mountains and hills we see there today.
My brain cannot comprehend that long ago.
That amount of time.
That is so insane.
I know.
But also, of course, it's going to have some weird stuff going on.
Right? Millions of years of erosion gave way to this geologically complicated and incredibly biodiverse region. This land has seen continents form and break apart, oceans come to be, and many plants, animals, and people call it home. There are so many different species of plants and animals still today that the southern mountains region alone is more biodiverse than all of northern Europe. From the time natives first called the land home all the way back in 12,000 BC to today, the Appalachians have been ancient land with their own legends and lore that persist and will continue to live on long after we're gone. We are but a blip on the timeline of this region, and I think this makes the feeling of mystery and sometimes unease more explainable.
I hate that you said that.
That we're a blip?
That is adding to my terminal existential crisis.
I'm sorry.
Did I say that right?
Existential?
That came out weird, but you get me.
I did. All this to say, this land is ancient and needs to be respected. Otherwise, you may find yourself face to face with something much older, much wiser, and possibly much more powerful than you. The many peoples who have lived here, the ancient natives, the Cherokee that dominated the southern Appalachians, and the many other tribes that called these mountains home, the European settlers, and the enslaved people from Africa who ended up in this region, and their descendants, have all left their mark on the land, be it through hardship, war, or disaster. Some believe that you can feel the power that resides in the land, a supernatural sensation that prickles the skin when you hear your name called from deep within the woods, or catch a glimpse of something stalking through the trees. So it's no wonder there are some rules about visiting a place like Appalachia. Always respect the land. Never whistle at night. Don't look too hard into the trees. If you believe something is following you, don't run. Ignore any talking coming from those woods. It's not who you think it is. And always stick to the marked trails. If you stick to these rules, you may be able to avoid a horrible outcome of a terrifying encounter with something like the creatures and legends that we'll be talking about today.
I'm ready to go. I was going to say some things, but I'm done rambling. Let's get to it.
That leads me to legend number 1, Spearfinger.
Never heard of it.
No, me neither. Many years ago, when the Cherokee people lived in the Appalachians, before they were forced to move across the country along the Trail of Tears, there was a much-feared monster and witch who lived with them in the mountains, referred to as Spearfinger in English. She lived in the woods of what is known today as eastern Tennessee and western North Carolina. She had stone-like skin made from the mountains she called home, making her impenetrable to any arrow or weapons aimed her way. Her forefinger of her right hand was long and pointed, like a knife made of obsidian, and her mouth was stained with blood. Her footsteps sounded like thunder as she walked through the trees, crushing all within her path, until she set her sights on her next victim. She was incredibly strong as well, capable of moving large boulders and building structures from the heavy stone. She was also a shapeshifter, capable of changing form from resembling a feeble old woman, an innocent child, and even a member of your family or tribe that you know very well. She used many means to get close to her intended victim, and once in her sight, it was hard to escape. She would walk through the quiet woods, singing songs depicting what she would do to her next victim. She was known to use her sharp knife to slice into the body, stealing the liver for her meal. Many times, she wouldn't even leave a mark on the body, and nobody knew the person had been attacked until they became sick, very sick, and died. Autumn was a time she would come to the village more often, attracted by the brush fires set for roasting and foraging chestnuts. She would search the clouds for smoke to find villages and even lone campers out in the woods, using her powers of shape-shifting to deceive, calling the names of the children in voices they recognized and appearing to them as their friends and family. She would approach young children playing nearby, picking berries, or going to the stream for a drink of water, telling them to come with her. "Come, my grandchildren, come to your granny and let your granny dress your hair." The children that came to her would have their lives stolen while they slept on her lap. But that wasn't the only way she found her victims. Those who wandered off alone into the woods couldn't be trusted, as they could be Spearfinger in disguise. She could take the form of her victims after hiding their bodies and walk back into their homes, waiting for night when she could do the same to the rest of the family. One day, a great council was called to deal with Spearfinger, as she was terrorizing several villages, stealing and killing their children. So those who gathered made a plan to trap and kill her. Following the advice of the medicine man, they dug a large pit and covered it with brush. They were going to lure her in with smoke and trap her underground. They finally saw her approaching, hiding her right hand beneath a blanket. Her disguise was so good that several of the men waiting there for her, knowing she was coming, were hesitant at first when they saw her, thinking she was one of the older women from their village. But those knowing her tricks threw their spears first. They shattered into pieces after touching her skin. She finally revealed her weapon and ran towards the trees the men were hiding within, but before she made it to them, she fell into the hole, still slashing her finger in a rage. They shot at her with arrows and continued to throw spears, but they couldn't penetrate her skin. That's when a small bird flew down, telling them that they needed to pierce her heart. So they aimed for the chest, but as all their other arrows before, they couldn't break through. Another small bird flew down, landing on her right hand, alerting the hunters to the small heart that resided in her hand. So they aimed at her spear, eventually able to sever her heart, finally ending her reign of terror over their tribes. Though she was finally defeated, it's said that her shrieks and cackles and singing can still be heard through the mountains at night, possibly coming from other beings capable of great strength and power, like Spearfinger once held.
Okay, that's actually a lot scarier than I thought it was going to be.
It's really scary.
When you said Spearfinger, I was thinking of that stupid salad
fingers? Yeah. Yeah, that came to mind.
I wish I didn't know about that. The only reason I know about that is my friend Jacob.
Those are the early aughts.
That's literally the only reason I know about that. Sorry if y'all do. Sorry to bring up that trauma. But I'm actually really spooked about this one.
That's scary.
It's really scary, and I don't want to encounter this shrieking, cackling sound.
No, okay, me neither. No. And I like that it ended with her dying.
Oh.
She's not there. That's nice.
Okay.
Spearfinger cannot terrorize. But we do know that there are shapeshifters, there are mimics in those woods. And that's what really scared me, I think, about this legend, this story.
That feels like a video game villain.
It does, yeah.
Like you'd fight on the last boss in like Zelda.
That'd be fun.
Someone make an Appalachian video game.
All right, so changing gears from legend and spirit to a different kind of strange and unusual occurrence in Appalachia. On rare occasions, at a distance right over Brown Mountain in western North Carolina, just 60 or so miles north of Asheville, something very strange happens. Bright glowing orbs of light have been seen dancing out over the mountaintops before disappearing altogether, with no known origin. Ghost lights, if you will. There are some claims that the lights have been seen for centuries. There are unproven stories claiming that the lights date back to a battle between the Cherokee and Catawba. The legend says that the battle was very bloody and many warriors lost their lives on Brown Mountain. The lights are supposedly the spirits of all of their mothers, sisters, and wives looking for their sons, brothers, and husbands who didn't make it off the mountainside. The lights are their torches, still making their way up through the trees, still looking for their men. Now, it's not clear if this is something that actually happened or if this was a legend created more recently to give a reason for the strange lights. Many say the latter. This particular story wasn't even in print anywhere until the year 1938, but I thought I'd tell you anyway, just with the caveat that it may or may not be true. There is one more story that isn't exactly proven, but it comes much later, around 1854, they say, but wasn't actually printed until 1971. A story passed down from the Wiseman family told of a young Fate Wiseman who was camping with his father in 1854 when he noticed lights in the distance. It was a strange light he had never noticed before, but he went on to see this light many more times, always near the same place and always around the same time. But the earliest actually published reference to the Brown Mountain Lights dates back to 1910, years after many publications were printed of the area. Like, there had been like travel logs and even like ghost stories of the area were printed, didn't mention the Brown Mountain Lights. Weren't mentioned until 1910. Some claim this is because the lights didn't come about until after the railroad came to the area. A man named Joseph Lovin, who lived next door to his own Lovin's Hotel, claimed he noticed the lights around 1897 when he looked over and was like, oh, there's lights there. Anyway, he didn't take much notice of them, went on about his life, until 1910 when his neighbor began talking about them. More and more people were becoming interested in these mysterious lights, described by some to appear like small stars in the distance, occasionally moving slowly, and by other accounts looking more like fireworks. By 1913, many people were coming to the area to see the lights, and so locals asked their congressmen for the government to step in and conduct their own investigation. The U.S. Geological Survey sent their own man to the area to see what they could find, and it was officially stated that it had to be lights coming from headlights from the Southern Railway. But wait, they had upgraded their headlamps to 600,000 candle power in 1909, which could account for the uptick in sightings around that time. But there was a large flood in July of 1916 that caused trains to cease running through the area for a while, and the lights were still spotted. Some people believe that the lights could be caused by car headlights as well as small brush fires, but not many people are so easily convinced. Thousands of people at this point have seen the Brown Mountain Lights, and it remains something of interest to locals and others far and wide. Many park rangers, visitors, and people living in the area have seen the lights, and though it is pretty rare to catch a glimpse of them, some people have to visit dozens of times. Like, I read one, the guy was like, I went there like 65 times.
Jesus.
And on the 66th, I saw them.
See, that's persistence I do not possess. If I went out there to investigate anything paranormal, honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, like 30, maybe 45 minutes in, if I don't see something, I'd be like, pack it up, boys. Let's hit the road. Cricky, get the bags.
I use that term a lot.
I do too, and I feel like nobody ever gets it. So I'm just,
well, you'll know
strange.
that I will always get it.
I say that like I talk to outside people. I'm only talking to you and Kayla, really. That's really it. And Jaden.
Same.
Jaden pretends he gets it. Jaden, do you get it? Call me and let me know.
But once they've been seen, it's hard to explain by those lucky enough. There are plenty of legends surrounding them. It could be the spirits of natives long past. It could be the ghosts of Civil War soldiers up in the mountains. Some even say it's aliens, which, side note, I read a whole story about a man who went to see the Brown Mountain Lights. He claimed it was a spacecraft and that they took him to Venus and he did several questionable things and it was a whole ordeal. So that's something we can talk about another time, but just thought I'd let you know.
I'm good. I don't want to know what the questionable things are.
Okay. Well, most exciting of all about this possible ghost tale is that it's being studied.
I'm already sold. I was watching a TikTok yesterday of this woman talking about the doctors that are studying near-death experiences. And I need to show it to you.
Love it.
Anything
reading about that was one of the most fun I've ever had on this podcast.
Same. Anything paranormal where there is some type of science person looking into it, I'm like, it's real.
Sign me up.
It's real. It has to be real. So,
yeah. In 2011, a physics and astronomy professor from Appalachian State University, Dr. Daniel Caton, placed a couple of cameras up in a spot overlooking where the lights have been reported. They take a number of 30-second images every night from dusk until dawn. He and his observatory engineer, Lee Hawkins, have been interested in and investigating the lights for years, ever since Caton saw the lights for himself while out for a drive. For 5 years, the cameras hadn't captured a thing. Caton was getting ready to give up on it. He was becoming cynical. He was like, maybe this isn't real. Maybe what I saw was just strange, unexplainable, or maybe I saw nothing. Maybe my eyes deceived me.
Like I said, I wouldn't have made it this far.
He'd been researching for 10 years at that point, but in July of 2016, their cameras captured something. In the images, you can see round glowing lights on both cameras at the same time out over the trees. Quote, "This is the first time we've had a dual detection, the phenomenon on both cameras. They've had like one camera will spot a light, but the other one won't. So they're like, well, maybe it's like a bug or something, you know. They didn't say that. I said that. So it was something out there. It came on and went back off virtually instantly, 4 times over several minutes. We've eliminated all the things that are likely man-made and natural sources, so we're left with no real explanation, other than it's whatever the lights might actually be.
It's aliens."
They still don't have an explanation, though they think it could possibly be some kind of natural gas phenomenon or ball lightning. But because it is so random and not easily studied, questions still remain. And so do the lights. Many people are still seeing these lights dancing over the mountains at night, and it's still one of the many mysterious and unexplainable experiences in the Appalachians. I'm partial to aliens, too.
It's aliens. Anytime I hear lights in the sky, it's an extraterrestrial of some sort.
I tend to lean that way as well.
I'm also just fully on the alien train.
Aliens.
Yeah, aliens. I'm gonna insert that picture.
Okay.
Because so I'm with it. I believe it. Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Natalie, you have to ask.
You believe most of what we talk about.
I believe in
all of it, really.
9 times out of 10, I'm believing the story, yeah. Maybe that makes me naive, but it also makes me more whimsical.
I was literally about to say, it doesn't hurt to have some whimsy, okay?
No.
I'm with you.
So there are a multitude, an unbelievable amount of different legends and lore through the vast landscape that is the Appalachians. But for the sake of time, we'll cover one more before we move on to some stories. I will tell you though, I already told you, it was so hard for me to pick. I researched and wrote like large portions of several other topics, like the Wampus Cat, the Snarly Yow, fairy crosses, several of them. And I just had to take them out because it was like a 35-page paper.
Someone is about to comment, give us a 35-page episode.
I know, it's not feasible for our lives.
We could do a part 2. We could do a part 16. There's a lot of stuff out there.
Because this is part, 3?
Like 3, yeah. And we've barely scratched the surface.
Oh, yeah. And I mostly stayed in the South because I'm partial to the South, I guess.
As am I.
So yeah, I didn't even touch on anything north of Carolina.
Oh.
North Carolina.
Well.
So I finally landed on another strange thing, the Phantom Hiker of Grandfather Mountain. And that's because, like, I feel like we've heard this story before, and not just here. Like, it happens all over the Appalachian Trail. And it just felt, I wanted to touch on this one. For many years now, hikers in North Carolina near Grandfather Mountain have seen the ghost of a man that leaves them with a chill running up their spine. Spotted typically around dusk, the older man has been described as rough around the edges, with a beard and dressed in clothes that seem to be from the mid-1900s. It looks as though he is wearing work clothes of some kind, He has a walking stick, a canvas pack, and simply walks by, not paying any mind to those he comes near. He is so real that many hikers don't realize that they've seen a ghost until they turn around and see he is completely vanished with nowhere else for him to have gone. He has never spoken to anyone, doesn't even acknowledge anyone is there. He just continues on his way through the old trail. Nobody knows who he could be, but there are some theories. Some say he could be a hiker who lost his life in those woods many years ago, and his spirit continues along the trail looking for his way out. Others think he could be someone who loved those mountains in life, and that's where he chose to spend his afterlife. Regardless of the reason, he remains on the mountain, having been seen by many.
I sincerely hope he just loved being there.
I know.
Because the thought of someone passing and then still trying to find their way out, horrifying.
Especially like in a moment of panic, like you're dying.
Yes.
Lost in the mountains. Yeah.
I'm choosing to believe that
he just loved it.
He just liked to live there.
I would like to think that as well.
With that same thought of happiness and love and light. If I saw someone and then I turned around, they were gone, in my brain, they just ran and they're hiding and they're watching me now.
No, that's the exact same thing I had. The thought I had when I first read it, it was like he just darted off into the woods and
he has a knife.
Waiting.
Yeah.
A knife.
Yeah. No, and because I just watched the new Strangers and that has reignited my fear of strange people or strangers in general. Because anytime I'm like out in the wild, I'm like, there's not a big chance that I'm going to be attacked by a random person.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the beginning of the Strangers movie, it's like in 2023, 1,300 people were chosen at random and killed by strangers. It's like, thank you. I will be holding on to that fact. I've internalized it. I've put it deep in the depths of my soul. And
now
it will
become
be
a core part of you.
Yes.
Like, have you seen Inside Out 2?
No, dude.
Like, it's become a part of your sense
core
of
memory?
self.
Yeah. Literally, yeah. And so I'm already freaked out about the ghostly stuff, but to me, that's the killer.
Sorry, when you said that, the first thing that came to my mind is, this is the skin of a killer, Bella.
Oh my God. I was thinking Wendy Williams.
Oh, okay, yeah. Anyway, moving on, we have several listener stories. And like I said, I narrowed this down from like 16 stories to like, I don't even know how many I have, like 7, just for the sake of time. So we will have to revisit this.
Yes.
Starting with Tabitha. I've been watching y'all's podcast on YouTube while cleaning, and it's my new favorite thing. I'm sorry for the long email, but I think you're going to like my stories. My name is Tabitha. I was born, grew up, and will probably die in the Appalachian region of Virginia. Since I was a small kid, I've always been interested in the paranormal and morbid, which set me apart growing up in the Bible Belt with a preacher dad. But there are some things that I've experienced that even he can't explain. Our holler has changed a lot since then. People have started moving in and loggers have cleared large stretches of land. But growing up, our closest neighbor was half a mile from us. My family lived in 3 houses very close together on the mountain. A path through the woods connected my grandma's house and my mama's house, with our cabin sitting in the middle along a gravel road forming a circle. Story 1. One day while playing outside, as I normally did at my grandparents' near the creek playing fairies with my niece, we were looking at the sparkly rocks at the bottom and the dragonflies that would fly above. Now, we were about tuckered out from playing and running around, and the sun was going down. As we grabbed our shoes on the back, ready to head back to the house, something in the water caught hold of a rock, which grabbed our attention. I thought it was a dead squirrel, as I saw hair, while my niece thought it was some sort of cloth. We grabbed a stick and picked it up to see it was a noose with wet, dark hair on it, and not like a few strands, clumps of it. I could have written it off as some sort of fishing device if it didn't have that hair. We showed it to my papa, who responded by being visibly uncomfortable and startled by it. He told us to throw it back in the creek and get inside.
Police?
Papa, there's a crime.
Police? Oh my God.
Horrifying.
Papa, there's a crime. There was. No, but really. What?
That would become a core memory. Sorry. Okay. Oh, horrifying.
I'm sorry. Papa, there's a crime.
Story 2. My grandma has always said to come inside when our green street lamp came on, or the boogers in the hills were going to get us, which now I get to tell my daughter. However, most of us wrote this off as some crazy grandma story, as she was known to be a tad eccentric. So walking down the path at night was normal for us to do, but always in a pack of 4. Me, my twin brother, our niece, and nephew. I was about 7, and we were all close in age. We were walking to my grandma's through the woods right after sunset, being loud and talking as we were told to, as to deter bears. Whistling was very much forbidden, though. All of a sudden, halfway down, some huge dark silhouette blocked the usual green light from my grandma's street lamp. We all stopped and went quiet, looking at the odd red glowing above the trees. A huge gust of wind blew through our dense woods, which was extremely unusual, and we booked it through the woods and briars straight to my grandma's. It wasn't the boogers in the hills, that was something else. Knowing what I know now about Appalachian lore, it sounded a lot like the Flatwoods Monster, but this isn't the only time I've seen her, just the first. Story 3. My aunt has had the paranormal follow her since I've known her. In her first house she lived in with a grumpy dog, no one, not even her, liked the basement, which was small, dusty, and filled with spiders. It was always cold and felt empty. Not physically, but like that hollow, cold feeling you get in your chest when you know you're not supposed to be somewhere. That wasn't the scary part. The scary part was the house across the street, which was very old and overgrown. The sun was setting and we were packed in the car, and I was staring at the windows of the house across the street. An old woman with white hair and muumuu-type dress looked through the lace blinds, but not only did I see her silhouette through the blinds, she was visible through the crack of the curtains. When we made eye contact, I stopped looking and asked my papa if anyone lived there. My aunt said no one had occupied that building since before she moved in. My papa said it could have been neighbor kids that broke in, but I knew that wasn't true. Story 4. I am 12 at this time and spending the weekend at my aunt's new house in Buena Vista. Her house was an old and out-of-shape mortuary equipped with a huge bay window for hauling coffins through or to display, small rooms that looked like mini doctor's offices, and stainless steel storage cabinets. But there was also a children's bathroom with blue teddy bears painted on the walls, a green bathtub which felt so out of place and I refused to step into it. My aunt showed us our room we were going to be staying in, which was beside the attic that we hadn't seen yet. I wouldn't go into the attic. It's not safe, she said, as the floor may have been rotted. My niece and I decided to take a peek into the attic, which looked normal, but as we shut the door, we saw the engravings of names on the side. Girl names like Samantha, boy names like Solomon, and others in different handwriting. We asked my aunt about it, and she told us the story behind it. The names on the wall were the children of the funeral home owners from years and years ago, who were locked in the attic through the day as they were not allowed to host children due to the embalming fluids and supplies being unsafe and toxic. She then showed us the lock that had warpings in the keyhole from where they tried to pry it with a knife, the family Bible with their signatures, and a picture of the scrawny, malnourished children. Through my duration of the stay, I heard light footsteps from the attics and giggles. They're playing, my aunt said with a smile. I left my plush cat at our bedroom door before I fell asleep, comfortably without unease. The next day, I played music in the living room and heard a loud slam from an upstairs door. No one was home. I came up the stairs to see the toys swept across the floor a couple inches toward the attic door and walked back down, uncomfortable but happy. I think they were just lonely. When we came back home, my older sister, who stayed at the house a few weeks before us with her then boyfriend, told us her experience. It was a normal stay for them, but that night while my sister was sleeping, in the same bed me and my niece slept in, her boyfriend slept on the floor and woke up suffocating, unable to catch his breath. After a few moments of dry heaving, he threw up a huge wad of my sister's long hair. They didn't sleep the rest of their stay. My aunt no longer lives in that house, but the children will always live there, locked in the attic.
That is a horrible story. All around. What? Okay, the kid thing, I was sad. Throwing up the clump of hair? What are we doing?
That is horror movie level fright
Hate
that
it.
I never, ever want to encounter in real life.
I hate it a lot. Why? Why? Did the kids do that?
Maybe they didn't like him.
Well, kids are good, judges of character.
Story 5. For a while, nothing paranormal has happened besides good and bad omens. Birds hitting the windows of my mom's house and albino deer running through the woods past me. Now I'm 19 and I'm driving my daughter down and up the holler to get her to sleep. It was about 10 p.m. I was driving very slowly and looking to my sides for deer. As I looked to my right, I saw a huge silhouette move through the trees. I knew it wasn't a bear because of the sheer height of the mass, which surpassed the trees. I immediately turned around, but the closest place to turn around had to pass the creature. As I passed where I saw a red light similar to the brake lights of someone's car blurred past my window, but there was no driveway. It was all woods. I headed back home as fast as I could safely, trying to calm myself down and praying. That was the last time I drove at night down that holler. My mother-in-law said it was a Bigfoot, but that doesn't explain that red light. I think to this day it was the same creature I saw in the woods as a child. Story 6. Many odd things have happened on our road that we can't explain. Odd lights, cars turning off and turning back on, etc. But one day while driving with my mother-in-law, we came across a deer, a seemingly normal deer. We stopped and waited for the deer to move out of the road, and as my mother-in-law continued talking to me as normal, I felt the most uncomfortable and uneasy I've ever felt in my life. It is normal for deer to huff and stand on its hind legs. This deer was abnormal. The deer stared at us, stood on its hind legs, walked 2 or 3 steps towards the car, and made a noise not like the normal huff, but a loud, breathy, low whistle. I told my mother-in-law to go around it, horrified. I've never seen a deer do that, not even a sick one. I still don't believe that was a deer. It had to be something else. That cannot be normal behavior. There's another story in just a little bit about something relating to deer. Just keep that in mind.
Okay. I just don't trust any animal that these people are seeing. I'm
No.
like, that's not real. Those are not animals.
No. Story 7. Last year I stayed with my boyfriend in the same holler I grew up in. His house was very old and made from stones from the Appalachian Mountains. It's a beautiful home with a beautiful lake and woods surrounding the property. One day, home alone with my daughter cleaning the room as she took her midday nap, a normal day. As a child, I was told it's bad luck to whistle in the woods, and if you hear a whistle in the woods, to ignore it. It was summer, and I had the windows open with a gorgeous breeze coming through. All of a sudden, the breeze stopped, the birds stopped chirping, and a whistle filled the air. At first, I thought it was my boyfriend's grandfather, but when the second whistle came through the window, it hit me that no one was home. The third whistle and my blood ran cold. I grabbed my daughter and left the room. I checked the TVs to see if any were on or if anyone was outside, but no one was there. These whistles only occurred in my bedroom, but it wasn't just whistles. We have cats which will meow at our window if they go into heat. I loved the little meows, but it did get quite annoying sometimes. We kept a spray bottle next to the window when it would get on our nerves. One night I heard scratching at our window and breathing very hard. No meowing though. The cat started hissing and scratching on the window harder. Getting annoyed and tired, I got up and grabbed the spray bottle, but there was no cat. My mother-in-law was in the kitchen, and I asked if there was a cat on the back porch, which is on the second floor and about 8 feet off the ground, and she said no. The only cat we had at the time was in her bathroom recovering from being spayed. Those are a few stories from my life living in Appalachia. I now live in my own house in the same holler on a cow farm. I've heard knocking at the back door and silhouettes of a head peering in said door. I now have a curtain on the back door window, but the knocking has continued. I'll keep you guys updated if any more spooky things happen. I love you guys' podcast, and you are free to share my stories. With love and light, Tabitha.
First of all, having doors with any type of glass or window or where you can see in, while beautiful,
scary. I don't like it, especially at nighttime. Our next story is from Decaf. Hello, Ghosties. My name is Decaf, and I live in the Appalachian Mountains of North Carolina. I recently came across your podcast when researching more about Appalachian folklore and absolutely love your channel. I have lived here for most of my life, and I am now 29. As a child, I would visit a city called Bryson City, as this is where my family had close friends that would watch me on the weekends when I was younger, age 6 and under. I had been visiting this family for years as a child, as my dad worked with one of the family members at the hospital in a town called Andrews. I was born and raised in Andrews, then moved to Murphy in middle school, and have since lived in Murphy. The family I stayed with in Bryson were Susie and Fred, who were married, and they had 2 children, Joe and Nick. Anyway, I learned many things from them when I was younger.
They're like the Jonas Brothers. There's
Joe
no
and
Kevin.
Nick? Aw, where's Kevin?
Aw, everyone always forgets about Kevin. Sorry,
Anyway.
go back.
Anyway, I learned many things from them when I was younger. Don't whistle in the woods. If you hear something, no you didn't, etc. However, me and Fred frequently went hiking in the woods behind their home, and we regularly heard weird noises at times, but Fred always ignored them, and I learned to also ignore them. One day, I remember that Fred took me on a hike to a cave, and I remember the experience making me feel super uneasy. He reassured me that it was safe, but something about it gave me the creeps. We didn't go very far into the cave as the opening was pretty wide but quickly tapered off and became quite small. I could have easily fit as a child, but Fred could not. We frequently went fishing in the middle of the woods and heard all kinds of strange noises. Again, he always ignored them, so I did as well. I was told to never go too far into the woods alone and to always have an adult with me because the woods were ancient and easy to get lost in. I never knew if this was due to supernatural things or just because the woods were so vast. Anyway, during this time, I never personally saw anything out of the blue or scary, but at night, weird noises frequently came from the woods, and we could hear it from inside their home or sometimes from inside the treehouse. I have some more stories, but these are when I was much older. I was living in Murphy with my mom, stepdad, and 2 stepsisters. My mom had gone to the store, my stepdad was at work, and my stepsisters, who were much older, were out with friends. I was home alone in our 3-story house. This was a pretty frequent occurrence. I was in high school at the time. The top floor of the house was mine. It had a bathroom, walk-in closet, bedroom, and then a loft area. The main level was the kitchen, dining room, master bedroom, bathroom, as well as a half bathroom. The bottom floor was the basement, and it was also like a mother-in-law suite with 2 bedrooms, 1 common room, 1 full bathroom, and a kitchen. We were renting this house, and when we moved in, the basement had a door that had a lock on the outside of the basement, like someone from the main level could lock something or someone down there. There was no way to unlock the basement from inside the basement. The basement did not have a way to enter it from the bottom, at least not easily accessible. It was on the side of a mountain, and while each floor had a deck, the basement deck was not accessible unless you wanted to climb down the side of the mountain. Frequently, when I was home alone, it sounded like banging was coming from the basement. I never went down alone to check, but that house gave me all the wrong vibes. I also remember one day when I was home alone, I was blasting music from my smartphone. This was the day of LimeWire, so sometimes songs downloaded weren't always the best quality. I was listening to music, dancing around, singing along, when the song lyrics went into a deep, guttural voice. It still kept singing the song, but it was not the original artist. I immediately turned it off, went downstairs to the living room, and turned the TV on, trying to rationalize what happened. Once my mom returned home, I replayed the song, and it sounded completely normal. No change of voice at all. I have no idea what or who it was that was messing with me, but I rarely stayed home alone after that. I also frequently captured orbs in my photographs that I took in that house. Another story I have is more recent. I live in Murphy, and my boyfriend works at a game store. They sell video games, Pokemon, and gifts that are related to these things, plush, anime statues, Legos, Pokemon cards, etc. We also happen to live in the unit next to the video game store. It's in a strip mall with 5 different businesses or apartments. Frequently, me and my boyfriend would walk into the game store in the morning and games would be on the floor. Plushies would be scattered in weird places and things frequently go missing. We had a mutual friend come into the store and we were talking about some of the weird things that happened while we were there. He said something like, "I don't really believe in that crap." Right after he said that, we had a gumball machine beside the register and it shook. Like it fully tilted to the left and right, shaking the candy inside. It had 4 feet on the bottom and it shook so hard, each side lifted off of the ground. Nothing else in the store moved. It wasn't an earthquake, and I have never seen someone leave a building so fast, and he has not returned since. We also frequently hear knocking. Stuff is thrown on the floors, etc. The other apartment that is in the strip mall also experiences seeing shadow people in their unit. There is also a hair salon, and they said that they cannot keep batteries in their clocks. Every time they replace them, they are drained the next day. They can go buy brand new batteries and it doesn't matter. Something or someone drains them.
A haunted hair salon sounds horrifying to me.
A little bit, yeah.
Because there's a bunch of scissors and things in there.
Like sharp objects.
And hot objects.
Things.
Yeah.
Yeah. My mom has had a few ghost encounters as well when she lived in Pennsylvania. She was a single parent with 2 younger children at the time, 1 boy and 1 girl. Well, when she would go to the bathroom, she always kept the door open so that she could hear the children if they were crying. She said she was sitting on the toilet and she saw a baby crawl by in front of the door. She finished her business and went to check on her children. Both were sleeping soundly in their cribs. She also told me that the rocking chair in the nursery would move by itself. She didn't have any air movement in that room, no central AC, no fans, and no open windows, but the rocking chair would rock pretty obviously by itself. Me and her went and visited that house when I was older, long after my other 2 siblings had grown up, and the next owners had painted the entire house white inside and out. She told me that white was supposed to be a cleansing color, and she assumed they did it to get rid of the ghosts. Anyway, I know this was a long email, but I wanted to give you all my personal stories that I had from Appalachia. The woods here are beautiful, ancient, and very eerie. Something about them calls to me, but I will never walk alone in these woods. It has been my home for all of my life, and while I have had so many unexplained things happen, this area is absolutely stunning. It's a beautiful area to live in, but it still creeps me out. Anyways, thanks for reading, and I look forward to watching more of your podcasts. Stay safe. Decaf.
The baby thing is sick. It's sick to me.
Oh,
I
yeah.
can't. That scares me so bad.
Yeah.
Because we've already talked about how seeing kids is like one thing because you're wanting to trust it. A baby?
A baby. Yeah.
I'd be more worried about like a baby. You're like, oh, what are you doing? Like, come
Why
here.
is there a lone baby in
little
my house?
helpless thing. Oh my God. That's disgusting.
I do like the thought of the white being a cleansing color because every time you walk into a new house, it's like been painted white. Like when you're renting and stuff.
Yeah,
like
because it's
renters,
just
they always paint it white.
a blank
Like
slate.
it's a new, yeah.
That is very true.
Our next story comes from Katie. Hey Ghosties, my name is Katie and I wanted to share my story when I was visiting my sister-in-law and brother back in 2021. She lives in the area of a trail in the Appalachian Mountains and I visit her quite often. On the way there, I was listening to Britney Spears as usual. It was a 2-hour drive and everything was normal until I reached the beginning of the road that led me to the forest. My car lights started flickering and my speakers started making a weird noise. I continued driving for about 500 meters until my car just stopped. Everything shut off and the only light I saw was the light from the charging port as it was pitch black out. I tried to start it back, but nothing. I was terrified and was gonna try to call my brother, but I realized shortly after that I had no signal. As I sat in my car not knowing what to do, I heard a scratch on a window in the back seat. I turned back and saw a handprint on the left window. I tried not to panic more and started singing. A few minutes passed and I heard a faint sound of my grandma's voice saying, "Katie, I'm here." I froze in fear as I realized it was her. She had just passed away about a month prior. I tried to start my car and magically this time it worked. I hurried the F out of there and I drove as fast as I could to my brother's house. When I arrived, I was going to go look at the handprints on the back window and there was nothing.
That just gave me a chill that I literally felt start at my toes and go up to the ends of my hair.
Yeah. That makes
Oh.
me sick. The thought of being stranded, you're in the woods, no signal, your car won't start, it's pitch black dark outside. Like,
Hear your recently deceased grandmother's voice.
okay, that is almost more comforting. The scratching and the handprint on the back,
I don't know.
it's almost like I feel like Katie's grandma was like, "Hey, I'm here. You're
Was it
safe
her?
now."
Was it her?
Okay, in my scenario, it was her. And she was saying, "You're safe. I've protected you. Whatever that was, it's gone now. Start your car and get out."
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
To me, because I'm going horrified route, that thing has somehow tapped into her psyche and has figured out her grandma's
And is
voice.
mimicking her
and
grandma.
It's like, "Oh, Katie, come out." And it's trying to get her out of the car.
Oh, so sick. And the fact that they were listening to Britney Spears, it just like it felt like me. Like this was me
Literally.
on a road trip.
Literally, yeah. I mean, my car's never died, but it has happened to me before where my radio, it didn't turn off, but the sound just stopped coming. I was deep in the trees listening to my phone. I wasn't listening to like the radio.
Yeah.
My radio in my car stopped. And it was the night I watched Hereditary in theaters. I've told you.
No.
I've told you on the pod and you still look shocked. You have a bad
I
memory.
forget. I do.
You have
yeah.
bad memory.
I don't remember
But
anything.
for anybody that hasn't heard, yeah, I watched Hereditary late at night when it came out in like 2018.
See, I remember that. I just don't remember your radio stopping.
I was driving home through the dense woods and then my radio cut.
I'm glad we
No
didn't grow up in
service.
Appalachia. That sounds so scary.
And I was just like, and I just tried to keep singing and be like, everything is fine. I'm going to live. Horrified. I came in that driveway so fast. I called mom. I was like, I know it's late, but please come outside. I'm scared. To walk like 50 feet to the door. Horrified.
Well, 50 feet through the woods.
Horrified.
Katie, I'm sorry that happened to you because that is horrifying. And I don't think I'd ever visit my brother again.
No. He'd be coming to see me.
Yeah. Our next story comes from Rue. Hey there, I'm a new listener, but I wanted to share one of my many stories from living in Appalachia. My name is Rue. I've lived on the edge of the Appalachian Hills my entire life, around the border of New York and Pennsylvania. I went to college in New York at a community college that was alone on top of a hill in pretty much the middle of the woods, in a town that always felt off. It's a very old town, famous for its textiles, so there's a lot of history in it. Bonus points if anyone can guess where it is, lol. This town had a problem with something we call not deer. It's a thing that separates from SWs, not entirely a shapeshifter, but still something that comes from the local tribe lore, the Iroquois. Not deer are the kind of thing that you see in the middle of the night standing on your porch staring at you, or off the side of the road where you swear the thing didn't have any skin on its face. My story happened around Thanksgiving. We were all planning a Friendsgiving party, so there were about 5 of us all coming back from grocery shopping. We had to walk through 2 sections of wooded area from the parking lot and cross a main road to get to the dorms, and as we came up to the road, we all saw about 3 or 4 deer down the way. I don't remember any of this happening. My friends have told me this 100 times. They watched as I stared at the deer and froze, and then dropped the 3 or so bags I was carrying and started to walk towards the deer. Everyone kept calling my name, but I was not listening, and I walked about the 100 yards to where a big buck was standing. The buck would not move, and I started reaching out to touch it. Everyone said, every single one of the 4 other people there said, that the thing looked bloody, like it didn't have any skin on its neck. I snapped out of it, and the first thing I remember is I was standing less than a foot away from a deer that was covered in blood, my hand reaching out to touch it, and it was growling. The thing's neck was just a spine. There was no skin, no muscle, from the chin to its shoulders, like a mountain lion had eaten it, and it was just staring at me. I screamed and started to back away just as 2 of my friends reached me and grabbed my shoulders, and it turned and ran into the woods. We were all freaking out, and I had blood on my fingers from where I had brushed my hand against its shoulder. To this day, every single person that was there has the exact same telling of events. It was maybe 30 seconds at most, but it was one of the scariest things I'd ever experienced, because I don't normally black out like that. I'm a very aware and in-tune person when it comes to the paranormal, and that wasn't the last time we saw that thing with the missing neck. There was also one that's head was on backwards, like something had broken its neck, that I witnessed, and a story of a third one from a few different people that was cut in half. And if you got too close or tried to take a picture of the 2 halves being separated, it would let out a human-like scream. I have 100 more stories about my time living in this area, like being a child and meeting my great-grandmother, even though she'd been dead for 12 years before I was born, or the Fey Road that would mess up our GPS to lure us into taking it and steal hours from us, or the thing that crawled out of the lake at college. Let me know if you want to hear any more.
Kind of, but kind of not.
I want to hear about the thing crawling out of the lake.
Yeah, I do, but
also maybe not.
are like the not deer thing, do they like lure people? Is that a known thing? Do we know?
I don't know anything about not deer. But that's horrifying. All right, we have one more story. It's from Ash. Hey there, my name's Ash, been a listener for a while now and have wanted to type in some of my stories, so here I am. I have more than one story, I hope that's okay. So I'm born and raised in the Appalachian Mountains of Maine, and I'm sure you can imagine that's left me with some stories, and boy, has it. I suppose I'll start with stories from when I was younger. I've always been in touch spiritually, as my mom likes to put it. I often talked to and saw dead relatives up until the age of around 5. By then, I could only communicate with those who had passed on, bringing me to my first story, which is genuinely the least scary. Every night, I would get cozy in bed, put a movie on, and try to sleep. This routine went well, until one night, as I'm drifting off to sleep, I hear my name being yell-whispered from the hall. Ash! I immediately jolt awake, thinking it's my mom, and she's in trouble. She had an awful boyfriend at the time. So I peek my head out my door, and there's absolutely nothing, not a person. So little me assumes I'm hearing things and goes to bed with no more troubles that night. The next night comes around and I do my routine. I put a movie on, get cozy in bed, and start drifting off to sleep until, again, Ash! Yes, I heard it again, and basically, to make a long story short, I would hear my name being whisper yelled from outside my bedroom every night, until eventually I just got very good at ignoring whoever it was, and I assumed they got bored. I have no real concept of how long this went on for, but I believe it was around 6 months at least.
No, that's too long. Once is enough. Once is more than enough.
Once is more than enough. Story 2 is honestly one of the most terrifying experiences I've ever had, and I'm truly not shaken by much. This story takes place when I was about 16 and just starting to really tap into whatever abilities I have. So to set the scene, it's 4:20. Us being teenagers, we didn't want to be bothered by our parents, so we hung out in our hideout for the night, aka a shed in the yard. So anyways, we're all just chilling doing our thing when someone suggests we make a Ouija board. And stupidly, we all agreed. I would like to specify before going any further, no one was more than buzzed this night, and I was completely sober because I had an operation the next morning. Anyhow, we get the Ouija board together and we start asking some questions like, who's here? What's your name? Are you friendly? And that kind of stuff. We get some funny answers here and there. We then had something extremely disturbing come through. I cannot for the life of me remember what it said, but I know it was bad enough to make a group of teenagers genuinely freak out. Someone says something along the lines of, how do we know one of you wasn't moving it? And one of my friends takes it as a challenge to use the Ouija board by themselves. I think this is what really put the nail in the coffin for this night. My friend starts asking very personal questions that only a past loved one would know. In the moment, I remember thinking, I'm not sure that's a loved one, but didn't want to upset my friend. Eventually, we all came to the conclusion the energy had changed. It's gone dead silent outside. No birds, no wind, no crickets, dead silent. Something was wrong. We decided to try and ignore the very obvious elephant in the room and get back to chatting and having fun. This lasts about 10 minutes before I hear the faintest baby cry. So faint, I thought I might have been hallucinating it. So I turned to my friend and I asked, did you just hear a baby cry? Yeah, but I thought I was hallucinating it, to be honest, they say back to me. My stomach drops a little. I turn to my ex and he says, did you guys hear a baby cry? Thought I might have been hallucinating. The other half of the group on the other side of the shed realizes we're talking about just hearing something. Did you guys hear a woman scream? To sum it up, the other half of the group heard a woman scream at the exact same time we three heard a baby cry. We're quickly realizing that we messed up and bad. Whatever this is very strong and has intentions of messing with us. So we start trying to figure out the best course of action to get rid of the Ouija board. And we come to the conclusion that's burying it. Since I lived in the middle of literally nowhere in the mountains, we just headed over to the sand pit not that far away. We started burying this homemade Ouija board at about 1 a.m. while we all apologized for disturbing and disrespecting whoever or whatever it may have been. We don't run into many troubles out there, but I think that's because we were all running off of adrenaline at that point. We get back to my place and collectively decide we'll stay together to go inside and use the bathroom. We go in and are kind of just debriefing about everything that happened until someone comes barreling out of the bathroom. Something just touched my shoulder. Of course, we all start freaking out because all of the lights were off inside as my family was asleep, so we can't see a thing. I decided I'd go down just to scope it out, except I don't get to because when I look down the hallway, I see a creature literally crawling out of my brother and sister's room on the ceiling. I could see it perfectly because they had both a TV and nightlights in their room. The best way I can describe it is like a Demogorgon from Stranger Things, but with a more human head. I literally watched this thing on all fours creep out of their room and into the hallway, again on the ceiling. Obviously, I immediately freak out. I tell everyone we're done and immediately start telling whatever it is they are not welcome here and they especially are not allowed near my siblings. We didn't have any other issues that night, but I did have a god-awful attachment for months afterwards. This creature gave me horrendous nightmares and would stand over me every night. It eventually got to the point I had to shut myself out from anything spiritual, which was so disheartening as someone who was making a living reading tarot. Glad to say I'm safely back into it. I had a reading from someone more experienced after all was said and done. She told me, quote, it wanted to live through you. It wanted to be alive again, and it saw you as an opportunity. You did the right thing, not giving it any power. The attachment is gone. I know you guys must get a lot of stories about the Appalachian Mountains, so sorry to be basic. Also, I've never written about either of these experiences, so I'm sorry if these are all over the place. These are truly just the tip of the iceberg of experiences I've had. I'll probably send in more when I can. I love your guys' podcast and cannot believe how fast you guys are growing. Y'all deserve every bit of it.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's nice. A nice little compliment after horrifying us to the friggin' max.
I do not like it. I was already scared when you said crawling, but then when you said the ceiling, I couldn't go on. I can't go on. My stomach hurts. I don't feel good. That was scary. If we have more Appalachian stories, I would like to do it, but I would like to do it on a day like today. We're recording in the morning.
Okay.
I don't want to do this at night.
No.
Because I'm scared.
I don't want to go through a wooded area at night after reading this.
No.
Those were all scary. Those were all spooky.
baby crying, baby crawling,
Baby crawling.
thing crawling. I'm done with the crawling.
Okay.
Done with the crawling things.
Yeah, that's some legends and lore of Appalachia. A few really horrifying stories. If there are any other legends or lore in the Appalachian region that you'd like us to cover, leave them down in the comments because there are a lot, and we will definitely do another part to this.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
If you have any scary stories from your time in Appalachia, you can email us at ghosteaspod@gmail.com, and it's GHOSTEASPOD@gmail.com. We'd love to hear them. We'd love to do, as Natalie said, another episode on this. Just listener stories.
Bro, we could do like an Appalachia month.
Okay.
We really could.
Probably.
It would be really, actually kind of cool.
It would be fun.
Because we can have all the listener stories on all the Thursdays, and then every Monday could be like a one or two new
legend. Yeah.
I'm not opposed.
Let us know if you're into that. Because I might be making plans.
I'm into it. I'm ready. I'm ready to go now.
Like this video if you liked it. Share it with your friends if you feel compelled to do so. And subscribe for more. We've got listener stories coming on Thursday. Maybe something extra.
I don't know. It's October.
You'll
Who knows?
have to subscribe to find out more.
Yeah. You never know.
If you're listening on podcast, please leave us 5 stars and a review. That would be greatly appreciated. And if you'd like to join us on Patreon, you can. It's patreon.com/ghosties. We've got extra episode coming next Monday. We've got things coming every Tuesday. Lives. Maybe some extra things coming for the month of October. You never know what you're going to get.
I don't know. It's a good time. It's spooky season. We're alive.
We are live. Alive and ready.
Yep. So we're
okay, wait. What's a comment? Or what's an emoji that they can leave?
A
We haven't
bat.
done that in a while. Ooh, a bat.
Leave a bat.
For
It's
spooky season.
It's October.
Yeah.
Almost. In like 2 days.
Pretty much October.
Yeah.
Leave a bat.
Leave a bat. Goodbye.
See ya.